Well, as a young teen, Silvia Ruegger had dreamt about one day representing Canada at the Olympics. And after a lot of hard work, her dream was realized at the Los Angeles Games in 1984. And she ran in the first ever women's Olympic marathon race, finishing in 8th place out of 50 runners. The following year, she went on to set the Canadian women's marathon record, which still stands today, 2 hours, 28 minutes and 36 seconds. Silvia, welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Good to have you.
It's wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Like really seeing the stories of the Olympians now, you know, as we're watching the Summer Olympics in London, and then to be able to just sit down and talk with you face to face, it is an honor to be able to get your experiences firsthand. Now, you brought some show and tell, and Amora would be proud. Okay, what is this jacket we're looking at?
That was the jacket we wore into the opening ceremonies, yeah. So we went into the Los Angeles Stadium as a team. That was our team jacket.
The team jacket. So everyone from Canada had the same jacket?
Yes.
Nice.
Have you been watching the Olympics, and especially the marathon race?
Trying to keep on top of it, yeah. It's exciting, yeah. And my heart, I still feel for the athletes, too. I remember what that felt like.
Yeah.
All the expectations, your own expectations, but also the incredible honor and privilege it is to represent a nation and wanting to be that ambassador for a nation. So I feel it.
So when did your Olympic dream begin?
Well, I was young. I was a young teenager, and was watching the 1976 Olympics on TV, and was running a little bit at the time, but not really competitively. Didn't have any dreams with it. But I was watching all of the sports, but because I had this first love for running, particularly watching the runners, and as I was watching it, seeing the level of excellence, and I began to ask myself, could I one day, if I made that my dream a goal, could I one day run for Canada? Could I one day be an Olympian? And so I went up into my room after the games were over, and I found a little scrap piece of paper, and I wrote the date on it, September 11th, 1976. And on the note, I wrote that one day I would run for Canada at the Olympic Games. And I didn't want to share that dream with anyone because I think sometimes we feel like, wow, if we have a really big dream or goal.
There's
at
that paper down here at the bottom.
Paper. You can say my goal.
My goal to make it to the 1980 Olympics in Moscow and for Canada.
Wow. Yeah. What a
So
treasure
I did. Didn't want to share that with anyone, so I put it in the floorboards of my bedroom. You can kind of see the years it spent there.
So you kept the dream kind of hidden away.
I did. You know what? I was a young believer. I had accepted Christ about a year before that. And I really believe that God gives dreams. And so part of that was like, wow, you know what? God gave me an ability to run. And I love what Angus Buchan says, Faith Like Potatoes. He says, the seed for a miracle lies not in a great difficulty, but in an impossibility. Sometimes it's a fine line between faith and foolishness. And so for some, I think that's why I hit for someone, it was said, Sylvia, how are you going to do that? Like, how are you going to be an Olympian? Because I didn't even know how I was going to be an Olympian. But it was a dream that was so sure that I had to write it down. And then from that day on, I had to pursue it. I had to go after it.
When God gives us a dream, and it truly is from His heart, He doesn't just leave us out there. He also gives us the determination, gives us the motivation, gives us His Holy Spirit to help us see this dream fulfilled.
Yes.
How important was it, your relationship with God during those years of preparing for the Olympics?
Absolutely. I love what you said, because He's a perfect Adonai. He's a perfect master. When He gives us an assignment or a dream, He also gives the resources and what we need, the strength that we need to fulfill it. And even I look back in the early years, I was a young teenager growing up in the country, and I wanted to train. And so I would get up in the morning before dark, before school, when it was still dark, and no street lights, no way to run. But my mom, even though she didn't know my dream, she knew I had this passion for running. She would get in the car behind me and drive with the headlights on. And I look at that, wow. You know, early years, God gave those things, right? And as a university student, I chose not to go to the U.S. on scholarship and went to Canadian University instead. And didn't have the resources, but God made a way, you know. And when I got injured, you know, I remember those years of 2.5 years when I was in the midst of my training to go after that dream. I got injured and couldn't run for 2.5 years, and so sometimes I wondered, should I go after the dream? And I couldn't run, but I ran in the water. I trained in the water, and even during those years, I look back now and I realize how God, He knew the end from the beginning, and He was preparing me in ways far greater than I even knew, and giving me just the strength and the sustaining. His word was so important, you know, just to sustain me and to give me the hope. I remember Job 42:2. A verse I put as a university student, I put above my desk. It says, I know that you can do all things. No plan of yours can be thwarted. And so I knew, wow, you know what, if this was God's purpose and plan, part of His purpose and plan for my life, that no matter what it looked like from the outside, that there would be a way.
And now this is the jacket that you wore, your warm-up jacket that you wore for track and field. See Canada written on the back from the LA Olympics in 1984. And we actually have footage of that race.
Okay.
I think we need to go back a little.
So tell us what we're looking at here.
Final lap of the Olympic Stadium. Yeah, I'm in 8th place. Just I've got I got about 100 meters left to go.
What's going through your mind right now? You see the finish line, you're exhausted.
Yes, you know what? I'm just, wow, there it is. You know what? When you press on towards the mark to win the prize, it's like, wow, just keep fighting, dig deep.
Do you have an extra burst of energy there because you know you're so close?
Yeah, you know, I think for me it was just incredible gratitude, you know, because I remember how difficult it was in certain parts of the race, the oppressiveness of the heat, the intensity of the competition. And when I came into down that dark tunnel, saw the lights of that Olympic Stadium and came onto that track, it was, wow, just this incredible wave of gratitude that, wow, you know what, the race, I see the finish line. You know, I can make it. I can make it.
And this is what you wore. That's
your number.
Was the number.
That's my number, yeah.
Number 60.
Wow.
With my name, yes.
Now, just 6 months after the Olympics, you broke, I guess
Your
it was
own
your own Canadian record,
Yes.
which still stands as
Yes.
far as the marathon race.
Yes.
Congratulations for that. It's still standing. But then just a short time, 2 weeks after you broke the Canadian record again, something happened. Just briefly, you know, tell us that story.
Yeah, so I 6 months after the games, I ran my 3rd marathon, set a new Canadian record, and it looked like my marathon career, you know, was just, everything was moving along. I had come to Toronto to train with my track club, and it was a stormy January night, January 24th, 1985.